A very good morning once again to each and everyone. Dear friends, today we have a very young and dynamic teacher, Ms. Fariah Fatima with us, who will be giving you tips from her experience about teaching of English to these grade 1 students. You know, they are all young children and language is very important. And of course, English becomes more important because of its international, status. Today, I don't want to, take a long time. Paria, I would tell you that these are young teachers, all professionally qualified, and I'm sure they will be doing very well. And we have been having grooming session with them for the last, since you can say since 1st of March. And I'm sure today, when you give tips to them, they will surely take those tips and use them in their classroom. And remember one thing, that these teachers are facing a big challenge, or they have accepted a big challenge to work in the rural area, which is another very big challenge, Paya. So over to you. And I'm sure you will be able to do justice in 20 to 25 minutes. And these teachers will take a lot with them. Over to Faria.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I'll start my screen share. Just give me a second. And I'm extremely honored that you considered me to speak to these young people today. Just a second. I hope you all can see the screen. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a second. All right. So good morning to everyone. And of course, as I already mentioned, I'm extremely honored that sir has thought of me as someone who can speak in front of you all. To begin with, I'm supposed to tell you how to teach English to grade 1. Now, I'll not pretend that I'm an expert, but all that I'm here to do today is just share my own personal experiences that might help you. Things that I learned during my teaching and the mistakes that we made that can be avoided in the future. So let's begin. The first tip that I would like to tell you all is get over the fear of English. The first and foremost thing as an English teacher is we need to get over our fear of English. Since English is our second language, many times we ourselves may not be confident. As Indians, we tend to first form our sentences in Hindi, translate them into English in our head, and then speak. So as an English teacher, I would recommend stop doing that. It could take a while for any new teacher to overcome this, but it's not impossible. You need to first start thinking your thoughts in English. We need to build that into ourselves. We need to build a basic core from inside. And I see you all are very young and you can learn it very quickly. If it were the olden days, I would have said you should make books and dictionary your best friend. Of course, they should be your best friends. But in today's high-tech world, I blatantly say make Google your best friend. I cannot tell you how much I've been able to learn the correct pronunciations and the correct spellings of everything that we teach. For example, a very simple thing. Can any one of you unmute and tell me how do you pronounce these words? Any of the teachers, can anyone tell me how do you pronounce them?
I will speak epitome.
And this one, the other one?
Poem.
Yes, that's great because बचपन से मुझे तो poem सिखाया गया था. Poem पढ़िए, ये book खोलिए, poem पढ़िए. It's not poem. Poem, it's poem. And it is not epitome, it's epitome. These are small things that you can learn from Google. Google Pay, it's already there. You can hear the pronunciations of every word. So these are small things that you can begin with to build yourself up. And I know reaching this age, it'll be, to change one of the basic pronunciations, it's very difficult. But now as an English teacher, I have to correct myself because I have to teach the other children. A few more corrections. For example, I've heard so many do this mistake. Plural of child, children's. It's not children's, it's children. You should not use past tense with the word didn't. I didn't said that. That is wrong. I didn't say that. Didn't paid is wrong. I didn't pay. Did that. That's wrong. I didn't do that. So these are the small things that it's ingrained in our heads, and sometimes it's not coming out. So these are the small corrections that we can focus upon. Next. So as an Indian and as an English teacher, the most important thing that we need to have in ourselves is actually zero ego. You must have that kind of grit and passion to be correct. Never feel shy to ask questions to those who you might think would know the answer. As they say, it's better to sound ignorant for 2 minutes when you ask a question than to remain ignorant for the rest of your life because you had ego and you did not clarify your doubts. So let's keep our egos aside. Never say no to learning. We need to continuously be in the direction of growth. Never hesitate to learn something new, which I have still been doing. It's been almost 8 years since I've teaching, 9 years. 9 years actually. And still there's not a single day that goes by that we do not learn something new. Now, as English teachers, try to only converse in English. As already mentioned, English is not our mother tongue. So in order to get over that fear, start conversing in English. Watch a lot of English movies or series. So these are the few things that we as teachers must be ready to do with ourselves in order to feel confident enough to face a bunch of kids who have a million questions, ready to fire you, They're all ready with questions. For example, a very simple thing. I will let you know exactly where are the points where you will be facing questions. So prepare yourself before you come into their rain of fire. Now, what kind of a teacher do you want to be? Be that kind of a teacher that the kids love. The first thing that comes to my mind is if I talk about my own child, the beginning of a school as a parent, what is it that I would want in my child's teacher? I want that teacher because of whom my child would get up in the morning and say, I want to go to school. Present yourself and deal with the kids in such a manner that the kids love you. And they're not like, oh, I have to go to school. Don't be that. Be someone who the kids love. Next, we are talking about grade 1. Now, in the year in which the student is now no longer in the fun-filled world of KG, you're supposed to start preparing the child for a little seriousness. I know I might sound a little some very strict teacher already with a stick in hand and make the kids sit quietly and just start teaching. Now repeat after me. C-A-T, cat, B-A-T, bat. The truth is, on the contrary, I believe grade 1 teachers play a very important role in a student's life. You see, we are the bridge from where the kids transition from being tiny tots to being formal students. Is the year from which their formal education begins. We are the ones who will be setting the tone for their education for life. So if we do not maintain that balance of being a good teacher as well as the best support giver to these scared students, our purpose is lost. So be that bridge. Maintain their excitement. I believe we've already received a workshop from our best KG teachers in the previous days from the sir had arranged. And you must have seen their colorful props and beautiful class decors and brilliant teaching aids. Now, as these kids come to us, we need to maintain that kind of excitement in the kids as well. We need to maintain that enthusiasm of the kids that when they wake up again, they're not stressed at the thought of, oh no, I have to go to school. We have to write so much now. I don't want to go to school. No, we need to maintain that balance of the playful excitement as well as the task to impart knowledge, the basics that are going to be used throughout their lives. Now, how are we going to achieve that? let's get into that. We're going to start with English because this is about the English classes. How to make English exciting for kids. The first and foremost thing that we need to take care is their reading. In India, we know that there is a much major emphasis given to the writing part of it all. Whereas if we get to know about the teaching style of other foreign countries and schools, we come to know that mostly first few years, they do not give emphasis to the child's writing. They make sure that the kids are thorough with their reading first, before they make them start writing. Now, I'll give you a personal example. Why are we in a hurry? Why? My personal experience, when my son he's now 14, when he was in KG, he was admitted in a school in India, and he had just started to learn the alphabet. And they had started to write A, B, C, D in their English notebook. On the other hand, in maths, as soon as they finished writing 1 to 10, they started the number names. I mean, I felt it was so illogical that when a child has not even reached the letter of Z in the first period, the next period is copying O and E1, TWO2 from the board. What was the point? Why are we in such a hurry? And even thank God, when I came here to Sims, it was much more logical. We first finish the alphabet and help them form words, and then we start with the number names. So I'm going to tell you a few practices that we follow in Sims. Talking about reading. Since KG, extreme emphasis is given on phonics. This is something that really helps the kids in reading. Now, when I used to be a kindergarten teacher as well a few years ago, when they used to learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, after that, I used to start singing that as in phonics. A, B, K, D, F, G. So in that way, the whole phonic, the whole alphabet, I used to say it out with phonics. Now this they have already learned in KG, and we continue the same practice in grade 1 to make them read phonetically. But now the amount of words that they have to learn has become quite vast. In KG, they were concentrating on short words, the CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant, and which could be read easily phonetically. But now there are so many words that do not follow the phonic rule. So here comes the firing machine. Teacher, why is it G-O go and G-O do? Why is it not G-O go and G-O do? How are you going to answer these questions of the kids when they are going to ask you these kind of questions? Now here you have to be creative. How will you help them learn these words and read them differently? So I'm going to share a couple of tips which I learned when I started being a teacher. Honestly, these things were not taught to me as a child, which could have helped me a lot, but then it wasn't there at that time. So this is what I learned. For example, Magic E. This has really helped my kids as well. Magic E, play your game, let the vowel say its name. What does it mean? So E tells the vowel in front of it to say its name and not the sound. For example, the word is mad. Phonetically, if you read it, it's M, A, D, mad. Now, if we add the magic E, the sound of A is not pronounced, it does not say the sound A, it takes its name A, M, A, D, made. Same way, K, it, kit. If you add the magic E, it becomes K, I, T, kite. The vowel says its name and not just its sound. H, O, P, hop. If you add the magic E, it becomes H, O, P, hope. T, B, tub becomes T, U, B, tube. And there's a whole list. If you go through the internet, go through Pinterest, go through Google, you will find a whole list which you can teach the pronunciation of the words properly with this trick, magic E. The kids picked it up very nicely when I taught them in my class. Magic E, play your game, let the vowel say its name. And they used to think of the word and say which is the vowel. And they were taught to take its name. Now another trick. When two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. How does that work? For example, let's take the word rain. R-A-I-N, rain. The two vowels mentioned in this word are A and I. The first vowel is A. So in case there are two vowels who are walking, the first one will do the talking. So I will keep quiet and A will say its name. R-A-N, rain. Dream. E and A together are walking. A will keep quiet and E will say its name. D-E-M, dream. Same way, blue. U and E are together. E will keep quiet and U will take its name, blue. Same way, beat, receive, dear, soap. All of these have two vowels. The first vowel's name is being taken. So these are the tips that you can give your kids in order for them to be able to read more properly. Now here again, this is also very interesting, which I came to learn here. Of course, these things again are not taught to us in school. If it were, it would have been much more easier for us to also read. For example, a few rules. Every word has at least one vowel, that is a given. No word can be formed without a vowel. So every word must have a vowel. Second, now if you talk about C, C can have the sound of K, K, as well as S. So when does C says S and when does it say K? Before E, I, or Y, the sound of C becomes S. For example, scent, city, cycle, cylinder. In all of these words, there's either an E or an I or a Y before which C is occurring. So it becomes the sound of S. In all other words, everything else, the sound is K. Cat, clip, catch, clothes. The next one, G can have different sounds of G or J. G may say J before E, I, or Y. The same letters that we have talked about in C, the same letters we're talking about in G. E, I, and M. Gem, giant, gym. All these words have E, I, and Y. So the sound of G becomes J and not G. The rest of the words, it is G, garden, glad, girl. Next. Q is always followed by a U, queen, Q, quack, quick. Double consonants, F, L, and S at the end of a one-syllable word that has just one vowel. For example, when do we use double F, double L, and double S? If there is a vowel with a very short sound, stip, it becomes double F. Spell, pass. There's a short sound of the vowel. The next is how to spell the sound of K at the end of a word, whether you should use CK or K. When do we use CK and when do we use K? Use CK after a short vowel. When the sound is short, sick, tick, tack, they get CK in the end. After everything else, you can use K, like milk, silk, leak. Long sounds and normal words, you will use K, and if it is a short sound, it will become CK. Now the words can never end in a V or a J. We have to add a silent E at the end of the word. Gave, have, cave. If you add E in the end, then the spelling becomes correct. Now, if you start with a syllabus, starting with the syllabus of grade 1, what are you supposed to start with? And how are you supposed to choose the topics that you want to tell the students? Let's start with literature first. Now, we must choose the literature chapters very carefully. Choose the simple and easy chapters first. Even if they may not be on the first like the first chapter in your textbook. Go through the book, check which one is a simple chapter and has an interesting story. Now, our policy here is that we start off with any chapter or poem that has we start off with a starter activity. Now, what is a starter activity? This activity must be such that you involve the kids doing something practically. For example, we taught a chapter here called The Drum Comes Back. And we asked to make them small drums with a disposable glass. I'll show you that. So if you can see the top picture here, we took a disposable glass and took a balloon, cut it and placed it on top and tied it with a rubber band. And they had a nice mini drum that actually made sounds. Or when we taught nouns, we had this activity, as you can see in the picture above. We gave them several words, out of which they had to choose the nouns and then write them on a colored strip of paper, stick them together, and they had formed this nice caterpillar. The kids had thoroughly enjoyed this activity. There was a big smile on the face of the student who you can see, but because of privacy reasons, I've cut off his face. But the kids really enjoyed making this. So these are the kinds of activities that the kids are interested in, and they make their interest more, towards the chapter. Like they look forward to learning about the thing that they practically made. We didn't just teach them theory. They had something tactile, something they could touch and learn. Then, when we start the chapter, what is it that we should focus on? Of course, reading. Obviously, the first thing that we start off is practicing the reading. Then we teach them the difficult and new words. So we ask them to write those words in their notebooks, as whichever difficult word was mentioned in the chapter. Then followed by their word meanings, true and false statements, fill in the blanks, and finally answer the questions. Now, each of these can be elaborately explained as to how these exercises enhance the understanding and learning amongst the kids. But I think let's just keep it simple for now. Let's move ahead. Then about grammar. Grammar parts of speech. How do we introduce grammar? What should be the sequence? This is the sequence that we follow. We start with nouns, followed by pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and prepositions. Now, these are the topics that we make sure are covered in grade 1. Now, of course, it can be a little confusing and intimidating to hear such big words by the kids, which is why our job is to make it sound as simple and as entertaining as possible. Now, how do we do that? For example, if you are teaching common noun and proper noun, we used these slides, or you can make flashcards to emphasize what is a proper noun and what is a common noun. Common noun is, for example, a boy. It's just a boy. And I took this Chota Bheem. I do not remember what kind of cartoons are now being watched in India, but this is what I remember my kids used to learn about. So Chota Bheem was an extremely famous character at that time. So I've taken up Chota Bheem. Chota Bheem is the proper noun. And if you talk about the girl, common noun is the girl. Chutki is the proper noun. That's the name of that particular girl, Chutki. And then if you talk about a place, the common noun is a school, and the proper noun we took at Sim School. You can take your school's name or a picture of it. That's the proper noun. So these are the things with the help of which the kids are able to associate and form those associations in their minds with their favorite characters or favorite places. For pronouns, for example, we had made up a song. For verbs, telling them about action words. Apart from the formal explanation, etc. Now, throughout the day, what I used to do is just announce what the kid was doing. For example, Adam is drinking water. And they would all turn to Adam and see him drink. And I'd ask them, what is he doing? Then they will all answer, he is drinking water. What is the action that he's doing? He's drinking. Farah is smiling, or Hamad just picked up his pencil from the floor. What did he do? Picked up. What was the action? Pick up. So what is the word? Pick up, pick. Or drinking, smiling. These were the verbs, the action words. In case of adjectives, now, for example, what we had done, we had made, that's not in the PPT. I could not get those pictures. We had made small clouds and wrote down each child's name along with one adjective that would appropriately describe that particular child. For example, tall, Yusuf; gorgeous, Rekha; pretty, Pooja; smart, Rahul. And the kids were really excited to say their names on the walls, on the clouds, and then associate that adjective with themselves. Oh, yes, I am smart, I am pretty. And they got to know about their adjectives as well. Of course, we used all the good words for the children. None of the negative words were used while describing the kids. Now, in the end, as a teacher, we must always be prepared. You need to see the light in every dark situation. We have all, let me tell you, we've already planned out the entire lesson for the upcoming session for the whole year. But we are flexible. Like what happened in the last 2 years, our entire preparation was completely different. Since we came online, I would say our eyes were actually opened to the whole new world due to the pandemic. Our resources changed, our mode of communication changed, and yet we adapted and survived. And if I say so myself, we were actually awesome. And finally, with this, I'd like to thank you all for patiently listening and observing. And I hope I added some sort of value to your learning as well. And I hope it was a productive session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
You're on mute, sir. Unmute.
Yeah. Thank you, Fariah, for the wonderful session. I'm sure these teachers must have been thrilled. Are you? Teachers?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I would like to seek, maybe Mrs. Manju Singh can say a few words.
Yeah, it has been really fruitful and wonderful. And I think teachers will really learn to teach English in this way. We have been talking a lot on these lines, Mr. Anis, like doing an activity for teaching adjectives, teaching nouns, but some phonic ideas were really wonderful. I must appreciate. We are really thankful to you, Fariah.
Fariah has been Fariah has been a wonderful teacher.
Yeah, and we'll definitely like to connect to her some other time too.
Yes, of course, of course. We will be having more sessions with Fariah, and maybe during summer vacation, if she visits India, she might visit International Academy of Scholars.
Wow, that would be great.
Inshallah.
That would be great.
Yes. Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay. Thank you, Fariah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I leave the meeting, sir?
Yeah, you can leave.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Yes, my dear teachers, I know Fariah had been a great teacher. She started as a kindergarten teacher, and now she has been promoted for the last 2 years. She was she has been promoted as KG, as class 1 teacher, and she speaks very good English. She has given you tips. She has told you the mistakes that should be avoided, what we can do, and especially the phonics. Actually, phonics is very important to be learned by the teachers of English. Not only teachers of English, those who teach in the lower classes. It's not only the English teacher, but if we practice, and one thing which she rightly said is the use of Google. Google is your best friend. Use it. Use the net that you have. We are really blessed that everything is available on your fingertips. So go and practice where you don't know. There are words which are difficult to pronounce. Go to Google, type the word, find its pronunciation, and practice it. Practice, practice, and practice makes a man perfect. Not only man, but woman as well. Okay.
Yes.
So practice is required. Thank you, everyone, for today's attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.